Thank you. Very, very nice. Mary Ellen Vincent, would you stand up? Marcia, would you stand up? Connect. All right. Get together after the service. Yeah. There's a reason behind that. And also, Chris Shanklin, come on up here. Come on up. I know you're shy, but I want to introduce you to these people. This is an old running buddy of mine, many, many years ago. I can't tell you the shenanigans we got ourselves into, but I really wanted to get you on camera because when we were running around together, neither one of us had a gray hair in our head. Look at us now, couple of old dodgers.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Hi, Pick. Okay. Don, I welcome you. Good to see you. So, I have a question for you. Who here wants to live their best life ever? Let me do that again. With a verbal response, who wants to live their best life ever? Say, I am. Who wants to reach greater levels of health, happiness, harmony, and wholeness? Say, I am. It should have been I do. But as long as we're in it together, who's going to correct us? Okay, this is the second part of a 10-week series called Prosperity Plus. And oftentimes when we think of prosperity, we think of financial prosperity. We think in terms of money. But in its truest sense, prosperity is having what we want to the degree that we desire. And also money is a big part of that. There's also many other parts of prosperity, like love and relationships, a sense of hope about your life, faith in your life, self-confidence, self-esteem, self-worth, peace of mind, sense of well-being. All of those things are yours. They're within you in abundance, and you can have them to the degree that you desire. Now, this particular series, this 10-week series, coincides with Heidi's class on Monday night. So if you want to go beyond the 20 minutes here on Sunday morning, you're certainly welcome to attend that class. But over the 10-week series, what we plan on doing is really determining where you want to go, what you want to do, how you want to live your life, and then moving in that direction, because there is nothing that can hold you back. Now, the first thing that comes when we decide that we're going to enroll or try to realize a dream or desire is to create a vision. We have to know where we're going before we can get there. A vision is creating a picture. It's an image. It's something inside your mind that is alive with passion. It's alive with emotion. It becomes real within you. Then once that happens, consciously and subconsciously, your mind begins to direct you in a way. Your mind begins to organize your life to allow that to happen. Now, I'll be the first to admit, to a certain degree, we can't control life. Life is a river of its own, and it's going to flow in its own direction. Things are going to happen that we don't particularly want to happen. Other things that are going to happen are going to be a complete surprise to us. But what we do have control over, what we do have total responsibility over, is determining the emotional content of our lives. Without a vision, moving forward into life is like a ship without sails. It's going to go all over the place. It's going to go to calm waters, to choppy waters, to being washed up in the rocky banks. But with a vision, when we know what we're going and we hold that vision strongly within our mind, it's like a ship with sails, and we're able to navigate the straits. We hold that vision strongly in our mind, just like the North Star did for many of the seafarers and the travelers of ages past. The Stella Polaris is called the North Star, and the thing that's special about it is that it never moves. So travelers could always use that to determine where they're at and what direction they were going. To that same degree, the vision that we establish has to be immovable. And it will direct us with enthusiasm. It'll direct us with self-confidence. It'll direct us with ways to go and ways not to go as we move towards it. When we establish a vision within our mind, it really makes life a lot easier. A vision provides us with a greater sense of purpose. It adds greater meaning to our life. Every single day becomes like a stepping stone on our path that is an essential part of the goal that we're trying to accomplish. Without a vision, life can become very boring. It can become very tedious. Sometimes we'll feel like we're not making any movement at all. There's a story about a fellow that was walking by a construction site, and he came across a worker, and he asked the worker what he was doing. The worker said, "I'm laying bricks. Day in, day out, brick after brick. That's all I ever do." He was frustrated, he was bored, he was even angry. Well, the fellow continued on, and he came across another bricklayer. And he said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I am building a magnificent temple." And that was the difference between having a vision and not having a vision. And as the story goes, they were building the Cathedral of Notre Dame. So I ask you, how's your life going? Are you simply laying bricks day after day after day with a stream of tedium running through your life? Sometimes frustrated, sometimes thinking that life might be passing you by? Or is every day another step in building this magnificent temple that you call your life? See, the choice is yours. You can do whatever you want with your life. But the fact of the matter is we are human beings and we're also spiritual beings. And as spiritual beings, the primary characteristic of spirit is creativity. We have the deep desire within us. We have the urge of the soul, of the spirit, to be creating something. And it doesn't make any difference what. But we have to be creating something in our life because that which brings us a deep sense of fulfillment at a very core level. As spiritual beings, when we create, we find a sense of fulfillment and a sense of satisfaction in our lives that really makes life worthwhile. And no matter what your goal is, whether it's short-term, now to tomorrow, or whether it's long-term, next year at this time, or even 10 years at this time, as soon as you move towards your goal and you accomplish it, something else comes into its place and takes you on another journey. And that is the building of your life based on your own unique desires and dreams. For ages, prophets have been able to determine the future and indicated what is going to happen next. And it's not so much that they can see into the future, but they observe what's taking place in the present. They can tell by a people's actions what the effects of those actions are going to be. What we do today affects the life we're going to live tomorrow. What we do this year affects the life that we're going to have a year from now. What we do over the next 10 years is going to affect the existence that we have 10 years from now. So when the great prophets came by and they predicted the future, basically what they were telling the people is if you continue doing this, this is where you're going to end up. If we were to graph out our happiness and we saw that it was on a downward trend, we would know that unless we did something to turn that around, that tomorrow, next year, 5 years from now, our happiness would continue to diminish. If we did something to turn that around and it went upward, we could tell by our present actions that tomorrow, next year, 5 years from now, we're going to be happier than we are now. One of the greatest prophets of the Old Testament was Isaiah. And Isaiah employed this particular method of telling the future. He would closely observe the people's actions, and he tried to impress upon them the fact that what they were doing in the present moment, that was the cause of the effects that they were going to experience in the future. In one of his writings, he predicted the future. And he said, human beings have violated the laws of nature. The streams have dried up. The waters are polluted. He says the cities lie in ruin. It's a very dark and dismal prediction of what might happen. But then in another writing, he predicted the future. He said the people are thriving. Wildflowers are growing in the desert. The streams are full of fresh water. And the cities are very robust. Exactly the opposite of the first. His very enthusiastic and optimistic prediction of the future. So what exactly was he trying to say? What is going to happen in the future? Well, in the first writing, where he said people have violated the laws of nature, and that the earth is polluted, and that the waters and streams have dried up, that could very well be compared to this day and age. With our environmental problems, with our oil spills, with the great indebtedness of the cities and the states in this day and age, it very well could be said that he was predicting this time. Yet again, the future could hold a time when everybody is happy, when the world is prosperous in every sense of the word, What is the difference? The difference between now and then is what we do in the meantime. Once again, the difference in your life between now and tomorrow is what you do today. The difference in your life a year from now and this day is going to be what you do now until then. Our actions are the cause that create an effect, and they are always of the same nature. If we put out love, we're going to receive love back. If we put out hate, we're going to receive love back. That's a law of cause and effect. It's indisputable. It is unwavering. What we put out comes back to us in the same nature. I have an acquaintance in my hometown, and he's been picked up 3 times for driving while intoxicated. Now, I'm not a prophet, and I'm not a fortune teller, but he continues to drive while he's drinking. And I can fairly well predict what's going to happen to him in the future. He's going to be sad and lonely. He's going to be very sorrowful and remorseful, and he's going to be sitting in a jail cell. That's a pretty easy prediction, because you can't continue to drive while intoxicated without either hurting yourself, others, and ending up in jail. It's the cause and the effect. So I ask you, what if somebody came into our lives? Or let me change that. What if somebody came into your life? And it was an Isaiah-type prophet. And that prophet said, I see you 10 years from now. You're all alone. You're a very angry and bitter person. You feel as if life has passed you by. You don't have any strong relationships. The relationships that you do have are not very good. As a result, you become a very, very sad, lonely, and angry person. Or, I see you 10 years from now and you're laughing. You're surrounded by people. You have a memory full of accomplishments and goals and successes that you've had over the 10 years. You continue to set goals. You continue to have visions that allow you to thrive with a sense of excitement towards life. Now, the thing is, both of those visions, both of those prophecies have the potential to come into realization. You can be a sad, angry person. You certainly have the potential to do that. You can be a very happy, feeling successful person. You have the potential to do that. The difference is what you do between now and 10 years from now. And that's why it is so important to have a vision, because a vision keeps us on track. It keeps us dedicated, it keeps us focused, it keeps our attention on that which is good. And we don't have to wait until the entire vision is captured. Every single day we have a sense of movement closer and closer to it, which gives life a very thrilling experience. Stop and think a moment about your life. Do you have something that you're moving towards? Or have you come to a stop? Is there a vision in your mind? Is there an image in your mind? Is there a dream or a desire, no matter how big or how little it is, that you feel like you're moving towards? Think about your relationships. A vision is just as important in a relationship. If 2 people come together and they determine how they want their life to be together, they determine the overriding emotions of their life together, they determine where that relationship is going to go, there is nothing that can stop those 2 from creating that reality. It's so important to have a vision, because a vision is what makes life fulfilling. In the Constitution of the United States, it says that we are guaranteed the pursuit of happiness. But we know that money, power, fame, popularity, the contents of the refrigerator, the contents of the medicine cabinet, the contents of the liquor cabinet are falling way short in providing that for us.